Scale big or go home. I want to talk to you about that today. And this isn't for the owner in a local service market. This is for people who are really looking to scale their business. They might have a national footprint, or they live in a big, large metropolitan area like DFW or Los Angeles or New York City, and they have the ability to really scale. But this is for people who are serious about scaling, but for some reason, they haven't gotten there yet. And the problem is, you're probably thinking about scaling as 5% a year, 10% a year. You need to put that to the side. It's holding you back. So scale big or go home. And before I talk to you about this, I want to say that this is reality. I am someone who did not graduate college, and I've met 3 presidents, countless ambassadors and ministers of foreign states. I've done all kinds of weird stuff because I just said, you know what? I'm gonna go for it. And so really, if you're serious about this, it is attainable. So first thing is goals. Your goal, you might have a goal of 5% or 10% a year, but your first thing is your goal needs to be massive. So I want you to think about right now, what is a massive goal that seems unattainable? Something that you go, I couldn't do this if I tried. So let's say that's a 30x increase in your revenue. So 30x, we'll just use that. Now that goal it's massive, and then it should make you feel uncomfortable. You go, oof, to do 30x, that would be a lot. Like, that'd be great, but man, I'm not sure. And it should invoke fear. That's the third thing, invoke fear. Like, what if I fail? What if I don't hit this goal? What happens to me as a person, to this company? It needs to invoke some fear. Otherwise, it's too small. If you want to scale big, you gotta dream big. You gotta think big. And it sounds cliche, but it's actually true. So it should be massive, make you uncomfortable, and then actually invoke fear. Because here's what's going to happen. If I said you wanted to hit 30% revenue increase in 10 years, does that make you uncomfortable? No, that's not really that big of a deal. Does it invoke fear? No. 5 years? Maybe. Maybe 5 years, what if I said in a year? In a year. You had to do it in a year. You go, whew, now all of a sudden, those emotions are real. You actually feel the thing going, oh man, in a year I couldn't do it. It doesn't mean that these goals have to be accomplished in a year, but don't set 10-year goals. That's what's holding so many people back. Right now, in our business, we are setting crazy goals because we want to hit them fast. So we're not setting 10-year goals, we're setting like 2-week goals, 1-month goals, stuff like that. Stuff that is impossible to do in a week or two or a month or two, but it gives us the clarity on what we need to do. I love sports, but business is not sports. There are no rules. There's laws, don't break the laws. There's no rules though, right? There's nothing that says that you can't double the size of your company in a year or 2 years. You just go buy another company. You could sell more product or services. You could do a lot of things to do that. In sports, if you want to win the championship, you have to play the season. In school, if you want to graduate, you got to follow the calendar. And we've been trained to think about life that way. But in business, that does not apply. In business, you're simply held back to what you want to do, how fast you want to do it, and the clarity that you bring to that process. In sports, not the case. So, massive goal, makes you feel uncomfortable, maybe invoke some fear into you. 10 years, it's easy to hit. 5 years, like, oof, 1 year, it seems impossible. And remember, it's not a sports game. It's not a sports season, rather. It's something that you can do if you really put your mind to it. Now, there's a few elements to hitting these goals. I'm not gonna break them all down in this video, it'd take forever, but I'm gonna start with this one, in margins. Okay, so now you get your goal, and your goal for this example is a 30% in revenue increase, and we're gonna do that in a year. We're gonna say we're gonna increase 30% revenue in a year. Sounds crazy, how could we ever do that? If you're small, you're doing $1 million a year, not that big of a deal, but say you're doing 50 million a year. Like, oh my gosh, that seems crazy. Well, the first thing you have to do is you got to cut the dead weight, right? So to increase 30%, the first thing we're going to look at is our margins. So what dead weight do we have? Every business has dead weight. I used to work for large oil and gas companies, and it would astonish me at how much waste they had in those companies. They had people that did stuff that they didn't need. They would just waste money. We had one time on a project where it cost the client $100,000 per mile to do the work that we did, and they didn't use any of it. $100,000 per mile to do the work that we did. And normally it costs like, I don't know, 10,000 a mile or whatever it was. It wasn't much, but 100,000 a mile. They just wasted that because they weren't efficient, right? Your job is to cut this out in your business. This could be people, this could be subscriptions, this could be a lot of things that are just dragging you down. So that would improve your margin, step one. Step two, I've helped companies with AI and automation. And the biggest thing is most people just don't believe how much AI and automation can help their business. So not only are you going to cut dead weight, you're going to automate everything that you can to make it faster, to make it more efficient, to do things in a way that you're like, oh man, all of a sudden, this used to take us 4 weeks, now it takes us 2 weeks. And we're making more money in those 2 weeks because we use an AI and automation than we were by using 30 people. The next thing is charge more. It's cliche, people bring it up all the time, oh, let's charge more. Here's what I want you to do. Let's say that you have 1,000 customers and you're charging those 1,000 customers $100 a month. Now, for your next set of leads, simply throw out 105, okay? And see what happens. So you're closing 80% sales right here at $100 a month, and now you go to 105. If you're still closing 80%, bump it to 110, bump it to 120. Bump that margin around until you see that number of closes drops enough to where it's no longer worth it. Odds are you can raise your rates 5, 15, maybe 20%, depends on what you're doing right now, and no one bats an eye. And if you're under contract to those old customers, you can still service them until they renew for $100 a month. Sell faster. You might not think of selling faster as part of the margin, but it is. When you sell something faster, so if you brought in 2 people, and person A can close 1 deal a month, and person B can close 2 deals a month, you're going to make more money. It's as simple as that. You might pay that person a little bit more, but they're closing more deals for you, so they're selling faster. There's a few ways you can sell faster. One, your marketing material, your content, your blog, your website, all of that should serve as a way to bring people into your door a lot faster. A simple analogy might be this. When you go to the store, Walmart, H-E-B, Whole Foods, whatever it is, and you've gotten a coupon or a sales letter from them that says that the steaks that you love are on sale this week for 30%. You go to the store and you buy those, right? They did a good job of notifying you of what's going on, and so you are now going to go buy it. That can apply with cars, that can be high ticket, low ticket, it doesn't matter. You sped the process up because your marketing and everything that you're putting out to the world lowers the time. Now, if a rancher comes to you and he goes, yeah, I want to sell you beef from my farm, my ranch, and he's got no website, he's got no reviews, you met him on the side of the road, you might be a little skittish. You might be like, I'm not too sure about this. Not sure I want to buy from this guy. But if he had 100 reviews and 47 blogs and 500 YouTube videos and you pulled it up on the side of the road, you might go, oh, okay, I'm ready to buy from this guy. Or the next time you see him, you might buy from him. The next thing is collect faster. You need to get your money in your pocket. You've done a good job, you've offered a good service, a good product, you need to collect as fast as possible. This is not scamming people, it's getting paid for what you've done. Now, if you're doing bad work, you're going to struggle to collect faster. If you've done great work, collecting faster should not be a problem. It could be your contract, it could be how you structured your payment terms, I don't know, but collect faster. Do good work, collect faster. And part of what you can tell your customers is, I've done good work, I do good work, I need you to pay because of the work that we've done. I can't wait 90 days. I can't wait 60 days. We're doing good work for you. Don't you think it's fair for us to ask for our money faster? There's no argument against that. The only argument is they don't have the money. So if the industry norm, what I said earlier about rules, if the industry norm is to pay you in 90 days, and you said, well, we're doing it better and faster than our competitors are, we want to be paid faster too, then the rules are what you make them. If you're not doing a good job, then you're going to struggle to collect faster, but you need to collect faster. Now, you might have less accounts receivable people, you can send less emails, all of that stuff will improve your margins. People think of margins as top line and gross margins and net, all this stuff, but really there's ways to change this and to do things that allow you to make more money where you're at right now. And your goal is 30% in a year. So you've got to cut all the fat, the dead weight. You got to charge more. You got to sell faster. You got to collect faster. The final thing is, think about creative ways that you can make more money for each customer. So the first two things that come to mind are gift cards and warranties. Now, if you're going to sell this, they can't be scams. You can't just offer gift cards and not let people capitalize on them. And you can't offer warranties and not let people cash them in. So you have to have integrity. But the reality is, if you sell gift cards or if you sell warranties or if you sell something along those lines, maybe some kind of insurance package, you could partner with someone on that, the odds of people collecting on that is lower than if they call you for the work they need done today. So what are ways that you can do a gift card or maybe a warranty, and now all of a sudden, instead of making $100 per sale, you're making $105 on every third sale just because you offered a warranty, right? This thing breaks, call me. For $105, you have the warranty, we'll get it fixed, no questions asked, right? You got to do that, but the amount of people who are going to call you for that is not many. It's not as many as the people who would call you and say, no, I need this today. If they call you today, they pay you today, they want the results today. So gift cards and warranties are two easy levers you can pull. And the final thing is upsells. You hear this a lot. Upsells. If you're selling something, and I'll pull an example out right here. I'm holding a marker in my hand, right? So it would make sense, and I don't know if Expo sells boards or not, but it would make sense for Expo to sell me a marker, to sell me an eraser, and then to sell me maybe a spray, and then maybe to sell me something to get permanent markers off my boards, right? And then to sell me boards, and you just go through the list. There's natural upsells that Expo, if they don't already, could include into all of their stuff because I'm already in the market for this. Now, is every customer going to buy a marker need a board? No. Some people already have a board, but they might need an eraser. They might need a spray for that permanent marker that got on the board to get off. They might need that stuff. And so offering the upsells, again, 1 out of 10 people might buy this, but now you have improved your margin per customer. So your average sale was $100. Well, now it might be 103 or 107 or 115, and you didn't even raise prices. You just sold more things to them, things that they would naturally need. A bad example of an upsell is to say, we sell markers, and now we're going to sell microphones. Okay, most people who buy markers are probably teachers, maybe homeschool parents, college students, stuff like that. So to sell microphones wouldn't make sense. But if you sell a marker, what are things that when people buy markers, they naturally would buy? Replacement tops, probably not a big thing to sell. So I wouldn't sell that. I would sell something that would make sense in their purchase process. Next is distribution. Now I've got 3 categories for distribution. First is your capacity. So to use the marker example, how many markers can you actually sell a day? And I don't mean, well, in a dream world, no. Like how many can your machines put into stores on a daily basis? Right now. You have to know that. Because when you increase by 30%, now you understand to increase by 30%, is it simply hitting the button more? You're going to print more markers, if that's how you work? Is it buy more server space? Is it hire more employees? What would it take to increase this capacity? And you got to do it in a year. So build a team out, in your mind at least, of what I would need to get to capacity for a 30% increase in revenue. The next is marketing. Your marketing is tied to, and I don't have this on the list, but I'll put it right here. My wife made this board. She's the best. My writing is terrible, but it's tied to the networking effect, right? The network effect is going back to the beef analogy a minute ago. In that analogy, we said we probably wouldn't buy from the rancher on the side of the road selling beef. But what if every person in your neighborhood started having cookouts and they told you they bought from that person? You are more likely to buy beef from that person. Your marketing needs to go up, and as it goes up, it needs to include the network effect. And the network effect is going to be testimonials, case studies, reviews, all the stuff that goes along with it, so that people are willing to buy from you faster. So this is any type of marketing that you can do that's the most effective for what you do. Okay? Any type of marketing that you can do that is the most effective. So it doesn't mean that everyone should have a podcast. That's what the big thing right now is. Everyone has a podcast. Maybe that's not for you. Maybe it's going on podcast. It doesn't mean everyone should have a newsletter. Maybe it means piggybacking on other people's newsletters. Maybe you should send a newsletter every day. You know, there's a lot of different ways you can parse that out. But what are the most effective levers? If your audience is not on Twitter or X, don't go to Twitter or X. Go to Facebook. If your market's not online, cold call. You know, think about the levers that you have to pull to make sure that you're in front of your audience, and then think about the network effect. How do you promote your business in a way in which people feel comfortable buying from you without ever talking to you. They still might want to talk to you, but they are ready to buy before they talk to you. Find out where they are, double down on the network effect. You get a win, talk about the win. There's a person on Twitter I know, and he posts all the time about the wins that he gets for his clients. His business is blowing up. Why? Because you see his content, and if you need his service, he's posting screenshots of people he's getting win for right now. It's that simple. You go, oh, Bob, who I don't know, got a win by using this person. I'm going to do that too. And then sales. So we're going to use marketing to sell faster, but we still need salespeople probably. So how are we going to hire the best closers that we can and appointment setters if we need that to make our sales better, faster? They maybe have a 4-step closing call, you have a 1 or a 2. How are we going to do that? So we're going to focus on our marketing, but then our salespeople have to be trained so that they know how to close extremely fast. This isn't high pressure sales, because what you're going to do is you're going to make this so easy for the person to buy from you that they've already come onto the sales call ready to buy. They've already thought, yeah, I should probably buy. They're already in the mindset of doing that. So a lot of the high pressure sales stuff you might find on YouTube or Twitter or whatever, that's because they're pitching to people who are struggling to make sales and they haven't done a good job marketing, right? So you got to be high pressure. You don't want to be in that world. You want to be in the world to where you go, okay, I got to do 30%. I can't depend on high pressure sales. I need to have good marketing, network effect. I've got to have stuff out there so that when people come to my sales calls or my team's sales calls, all of a sudden they're ready to buy from us. I'll make this easy for them. The next thing, total addressable market, TAM. Total addressable market. There's only 2 points here. One, it's bigger than you think. Again, I started this by saying this isn't for people who are maybe in a local service and they're a stay local, and maybe for them they can scale 30% year over year, but they can't scale 300%. There's just certain limitations. But for people who have big metropolitan areas or they're selling nationwide or international, the total addressable market, it's much bigger than you think. And you can look the stats up on this. Think about grocery stores. Okay, there's Walmart, there's Costco, there's Sam's who owns Walmart, there's Whole Foods, there's Publix, there's Trader Joe's, I think, there's Dollar Store. I mean, I can go on and on, right? The total addressable market is huge. It's huge. That's not even that's not even counting people who buy stuff from a gas station, right? The total addressable market is huge for something like this. So the odds are it's much bigger than you think. So if you're going, man, 30% in a year, that sounds really tough. You're probably thinking about the TAM in the wrong way. You're probably thinking the TAM's very small. Odds are it's not. If it is small, let's say you are that person who is in a very niche industry and you're like, oh, man, the people that buy our stuff, there's only 10 of them and we can't, the total addressable market is $1 billion a year and there's 10 of them and they're locked up, we might can pick up one customer if we're lucky. Well, what about related markets? Related markets kind of go back to the upsell mentality. So if you're selling the marker, can you sell the whiteboard? Can you sell the eraser? Can you sell the spray to clean the board off? Can you sell things that are either one level above you or one level beneath you? And so a good way to think about this is, who is the client talking to before or after you? So after you, they're talking to people that normally your job is done. So they've bought from you and then now they're going to hire this next person. Okay, well, if you can tap into that market, the TAM just got bigger. What about the people before you? If you can tap that market, the TAM just got bigger. Odds are the TAM is plenty big right now, but if you are one of those niche cases, that's one way to look at it. Go, okay, if I just went here and added this service or product, one ring above where I'm at or one ring below where I'm at, now all of a sudden the TAM got infinitely bigger. Let's talk about constraints. There's 4 main constraints here. The first one is you. And I don't say it to be mean, I say to be honest. There's certain constraints around me. There's constraints around all of us. We're not all the greatest thing ever. The constraint is going to be, are you willing to buy into a scary, massive, uncomfortable goal that is going to really push the boundaries of what you think you can do? It seems unachievable. Are you willing to do that? The next is your team. The team you have today might not be the team to get you 30% growth year over year. Some of them will be, some of them won't be. It's no harm, no foul. It doesn't mean they're good people or bad people. It just simply means that not everyone is made for everything. I'm not made to do a lot of things, nor are you, nor is everyone on your team. Don't get mad at them. Understand that's not what they came to your company for. They came to your company for 10% growth. And now you're saying, we're going to triple that the next year. It might take a different person. But by clarifying what your goal is that makes you uncomfortable, and I said 30%, let's take it to 100% growth in 3 years, right? The odds are there are people on your team right now who can't help you do that. That's just beyond their ability. Your capacity right now might be beyond your current team's capacity to produce, to run those workflows, to do all the things that are needed for that, because they're not built for that. So you have to understand that you have limitations on your beliefs on what's possible, and then you have limitations on who you've hired, and then your team has limitations because you hired them for something else. It doesn't mean they're bad people. Don't get angry at them. It's just a fact of life. Next is money. You might hear this and go, oh, man, 100% in 3 years, how would I do that? Well, we're going to improve margins so that you're going to make more money. That's step one. Step two is, are you willing to take on debt and equity? If you want to take on debt, then you've opened up a lot of doors. If you want to take on equity, you've opened up even more doors. You might not want to, but if you want to do this 100% in 3 years or 30% in 1 year, maybe the margins can do that. Maybe some upsells and all those things can get you there, but maybe not. Maybe you need to take on debt or equity to help you get there. You have to determine what is the goal that makes you feel uncomfortable. How do you get there? And then as you're going through this process, you're going to realize I can improve my margins. I was selling a $100 thing. I was making $80 on it. I can get that up to 85, but to hit this goal, I need to get to 95. Okay. And so, well, we've moved our margin from $100 to 115. I'm making 95 now, but I still would need to borrow or take on equity. We'll value it around $10 million. Okay. So you need $10 million of cash to get you there. Now you got to decide, how bad do you want this goal? But you see how this focus, it makes you focus on the things that you have to do, what actually has to happen, your constraints of your capacity. What would I have to do to hit this? How would I possibly do that? I'm not even sure on some level, but hell, I think if I did this, let me think through that. It brings clarity to your scaling process. A lot of times these 10-year goals are so far out there that it doesn't really matter what you do. Just do this and do that and do this. But if you want to experience hypergrowth, you have to have a big goal in a short time period. The final thing is the wave. There's a lot of talk about hiring and talent and stuff like that. And I've kind of categorized it into 4 types of people. The first person is a person, if you go to the beach, they sit on the beach and they watch the waves come in. Right? They're just watching. The seagulls, the kids playing, they're just on the beach. They're not getting wet, toes in the sand. That's not the type of person that you need for this. You want someone who's in the water. The next 2 types of people are those who ride the waves. Now, if you've been to the beach and you've watched people surf or boogie board or whatever it might be, there's kind of 2 groups, right? There's those who could do it really good, and then there's the rest of us who are falling off the waves over and over again. The ones who want to ride the wave, they're going to be in those 2 camps. Some can ride the wave with you, and some can't. Some can be trained to ride the wave, some can't. You will now attract people who want to ride this wave with you, and then you have to determine, are they the people who can actually ride it, or can they be trained to ride the wave? I know this because when I was meeting with presidents and managing fighters and some of the crazy stuff I've done, you start to get people who come around you because they're like, oh man, that's really cool what this person's doing. But you realize that they don't want to create the wave. They don't want to go meet the presidents. They don't want to do that work. They don't want to start a podcast, or they don't want to and go try to get big guests. They don't want to do that stuff, but they think it's cool that you're doing it. So you will attract people who want to ride the wave. And then you have to determine whether or not they're the type of person who can be trained to ride it, or they will come in day one and it's like they've been surfing their whole life. Like there's no problem. But by creating this wave, by saying we are going to do 100% increase in the next 3 years, some people will just quit. Like, I don't want to do that. Again, no harm, no foul. You're not mad at them. And if you don't want to scale big, no harm, no foul. I'm not mad at you. This is for people who want to scale big. The 4th person is the one who creates the wave, and that's you. You have to create this wave. And so by creating this wave, by saying, I'm going to scale this company to 100%, 300%, or whatever I said I'm going to go, 30% in 3 years. My numbers are getting backwards now. I've used so many. This goal This goal I've set right here, it's massive, it makes me feel uncomfortable, and invokes fear. And the fear is because I don't know how to do it. I don't know how to pull it all off today. I don't even know. I had to think about this, but I'm dedicated to it. And then you make a time period that's too short. It's unreasonable for you to hit this goal in this time period, but you can. You actually can. Then you're going to improve your margins. Then you look at your distribution, going, okay, capacity, marketing, sales. How do we do this? How do we get this faster? Is the total addressable market big enough? I'll tell you right now, odds are it probably is. If it's not, look at related markets. And then the constraints, the final thing. You're the biggest constraint. You create the wave. You are the person who sets the vision for the company. So if you set a vision of 10 years, 30%, that's an easy wave we all can ride. If you say 30% in 1 year, that's a little bit harder. You say 100% in 2 years, that's a big wave, right? So you are the constraint. You also might be the constraint as you ride this wave. You've created it, now you got to ride it. You might have to replace yourself. Find someone better at doing this than you. That's okay. No harm, no foul there. Your team that you've hired that's on your staff right now, they were not hired to do this. This is not what they came on board for. So some of them will want this, some of them will not. Money might be an issue. You're going to improve your margins to help fix that, but money might be an issue because you might go, oh, how am I ever going to pay for this stuff? Well, if you're creating big waves, what happens? Think about at the Academy Awards. They give actors and actresses these big bags of all this stuff because why? They're doing big things. And so when you do big things, you attract the right type of people. You attract people with money. This person is really growing. We want to invest with him. We want to lend him money because we want to say that we're tied to those type of people. So don't worry about money. If you set big goals, you start crushing them, money will find its way to you, or when you go to find money, it will be more accepting of your reality. The problem a lot of times is we go after money for a small loan or a small equity partner, and they're like, yeah, that's kind of risky. You go bigger, they're like, oh, okay, yeah, you've got a track record. I like where you're going. Let's invest in this. And so it all ends here with the wave. What is the wave that you're going to create? What is it that's going to make you feel uncomfortable? It's going to invoke some fear, and it's so massive that once you hit it, it's going to change the trajectory of your life and business. Okay, so I hope you enjoyed that. I hope Scale Big or Go Home is relative to you. If you're looking for someone to help you with this, I'll put a link below. You can set up a call. If not, hope you enjoyed the video. Put any questions you have in the comments, and we'll talk soon.